Every culture, every society, every empire has an operating system. A set of unwritten rules, a shared understanding of what constitutes success, what is valuable, and who is important. Our modern operating system is powerful and pervasive. It values strength over weakness, influence over obscurity, wealth over poverty, happiness as a goal to be pursued, and self-interest as the primary driver of progress. This system is so deeply ingrained in us that we rarely even notice it. It is the very air we breathe. But what if there was another way? What if, 2,000 years ago, a Galilean teacher stood on a hillside and delivered a speech that was not just a collection of moral aphorisms, but a radical, countercultural manifesto, a constitution for a completely different kind of reality, an upside-down kingdom where the entire value system of the world is inverted, and everything we thought we knew about power, success, and happiness is turned on its head. This is the Sermon on the Mount, and it is arguably the most revolutionary, most psychologically astute, and most challenging manifesto for being human ever written. To understand its power, we must resist the urge to read it as a list of gentle, sentimental suggestions. This is not Jesus's guide to being a nice person. This is a blueprint for a total revolution of the human heart. And it begins with an inauguration of its unlikely heroes. We call them the Beatitudes. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. This is the opening shot, and it immediately shatters the world's logic. Our world says, blessed are the confident, the self-sufficient, the ones who have it all together. Jesus says the state of blessedness, of true well-being, begins with acknowledging your own spiritual bankruptcy. It begins at the moment you realize you are not enough. The poor in spirit are not those who are simply materially poor, but those who have come to the end of their own resources. Those who have no spiritual currency left to buy their way in. This is not a promise of a future reward. It is a description of a present reality. The kingdom, the new reality, belongs right now to those who are empty enough to receive it. Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. Our culture is terrified of grief. We medicate it, we distract ourselves from it, we tell people to move on. Jesus says that the state of blessedness is found in the very heart of mourning, in the courage to sit with the world's pain and our own without flinching. To mourn is to see the world as it truly is, broken, tragic, and in need of healing. And the promise is that in that very act of honest, empathetic pain, a comfort that is not a distraction, but a deep, abiding presence will be found. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Meek is a word we have fatally misunderstood. We equate it with weak, timid, or doormat. But the original Greek word, praus, has a very different meaning. It was used to describe a wild stallion that had been tamed, a creature of immense power and strength that has willingly brought its power under control. The meek are not the weak. They are the strong who have learned to be gentle. They are the ones who do not need to dominate, to intimidate, or to assert their own importance. And in their non-reactive, gentle strength, Jesus says they will ultimately inherit the earth. They will outlast the empires built on violence and ego. These opening declarations are a complete reordering of reality. The heroes of this new kingdom are not the successful, the happy, and the powerful. They are the spiritually empty, the grieving, and the gentle. Jesus is not just offering comfort to the downtrodden. He is redefining where true life and power are actually located. Having established the character of his kingdom's citizens, Jesus then moves to its ethics. And here, he takes the existing religious law and radicalizes it, moving the focus from external actions to the inner landscape of the heart. He says, "You have heard that it was said to those of old, 'You shall not murder.' But I say to you that everyone who is angry with his brother will be liable to judgment." This is a profound psychological insight. Jesus understands that murder is not an isolated act, but the final, tragic fruit of a seed that begins as anger, contempt, and dehumanization in the heart. He is not just forbidding the act. He is calling us to a radical practice of inner emotional regulation. He is teaching that we are responsible not just for what we do, but for the inner logismoi, the thoughts and feelings that we choose to cultivate. The revolution must happen internally before it can have any external effect. He does the same with adultery. You have heard that it was said, "You shall not commit adultery." But I say to you that everyone who looks at a woman with lustful intent has already committed adultery with her in his heart. Again, he is moving the focus from the external act to the internal state. He is not saying that sexual desire is inherently evil. He is speaking about a specific kind of look, an objectifying, possessive gaze that reduces a whole person to an object for one's own gratification. He is arguing that the real violation, the real sin, happens at the moment of that internal objectification, long before any physical act occurs. This is a call to a radical integrity of the mind, to see others not as objects to be consumed, but as full, complex human beings. And then comes the most challenging, the most impossible teaching of all, his command regarding enemies. You have heard that it was said, "You shall love your neighbor and hate your enemy." But I say to you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. This is the absolute apex of the upside-down kingdom. Every other ethical system in the world, then and now, is built on the logic of reciprocity. You are good to those who are good to you. You are just to those who are just to you. And you are right to oppose and even hate those who seek to harm you. It is the logic of survival, the logic of tribalism, the logic of us versus them. Jesus declares this entire operating system obsolete. The love he is talking about is not a sentimental feeling. The Greek word is agape, a resolute, unconditional, and willed commitment to the well-being of the other, regardless of their actions or their worthiness. Why? Why make such an impossible demand? Because, Jesus continues, this is how God himself operates. For he makes his sun rise on the evil and on the good, and sends rain on the just and on the unjust. Divine love is not a reward for good behavior. It is a radical, indiscriminate, life-giving force. And to be a citizen of his kingdom is to choose to participate in that same boundary-breaking, enemy-loving flow of grace. This is not a strategy for political passivity. It is a strategy for profound inner liberation. To hate your enemy is to be chained to them, to allow them to occupy your mind and poison your heart. To love your enemy, to pray for their well-being, is to break that chain. It is to reclaim your own inner freedom from the cycle of action and reaction. It is the ultimate act of psychological and spiritual power. The Sermon on the Mount is a manifesto that rewrites our entire definition of a good life. The world says happiness is found in self-assertion. Jesus says it is found in being poor in spirit. The world says to avoid pain. Jesus says blessedness is found in mourning. The world says strength is the ability to dominate. Jesus says it is the power to be gentle. The world says justice is about getting even. Jesus says it is about loving your enemy. The world says to secure your future. Jesus says to not be anxious about tomorrow. The world says to build your identity on your achievements. Jesus says to build it on the unshakable foundation of these words. This is not a list of rules to be grudgingly followed. It is an invitation into a different reality. A reality that is more difficult, yes, but also infinitely more free, more joyful, and more deeply human. The challenge of the Sermon on the Mount is that it exposes the poverty of our own ambitions. It holds up a mirror and shows us how deeply we have been conformed to the operating system of the world, even when we call ourselves religious. It asks us to make a choice. Will we continue to live by the logic of the empire, the logic of strength, status, and self-interest? Or will we dare to attempt to live by the logic of this strange, beautiful, and upside-down kingdom? This is not a call to perfection. It is a call to a direction. A call to begin the slow, lifelong, and grace-filled process of allowing our hearts and minds to be recalibrated to a different frequency. The Sermon on the Mount is the voice of a different world, breaking into our own. And it whispers to the most anxious, striving, and weary parts of our souls that there is another way to be. A way of freedom, a way of peace, the way of a kingdom that is not of this world, but is available to us right here and right now.